and welcome to Scope. Now, if you've been watching even just for the last 10 seconds, you may have noticed a couple of things. Firstly, I am a girl. Yes. Secondly, and more importantly, I'm a geek. But what or who is a girl geek? I don't know, and I am one. So, to get to the bottom of this, I am going to the tippy top of girl geekery by asking girl geek extraordinaire Sarah Moran from Girl Geek Academy. Girl Geek Academy are on a mission to increase the number of women in STEM careers. They run workshops for girls to get into everything from games to design to aviation. And they certainly aren't afraid to get their geek on. So Sarah, I've heard the word geek used to make fun of people, but you wear the label geek with pride.
Very proudly. So a geek is someone who's just really passionate about something. It means you care deeply and you really love something, and that's what you're a geek about.
So because I absolutely love science, I'm a science geek.
Absolutely. You are a science geek indeed.
Oh, I love that.
And so welcome to Girl Geek Academy.
Thank you. And can anyone be a geek, or only some people? Or?
Oh, everyone is a geek in some way. You know, we all care about things that are really special to us and mean something to us. I'm a girl geek who's passionate about technology, and so I work with my hackers, my hustlers, and my hipsters to bring stuff together.
So hackers, hustlers, and hipsters. Tell me about that.
So a hacker can code, a hipster loves design and maybe art, and a hustler loves working with the team.
Okay, well, today for our episode, we're going to dive brain first into those different styles of geekery. But first, check this out.
Hello and welcome to Scope Space News. Our top story today, the first ever all-female spacewalk has taken place. Our space correspondent Leah is live at the International Space Station. Leah, how's the atmosphere up there?
Well, Nadia, there isn't actually any atmosphere up here at all. We're about 408 kilometres above the Earth's atmosphere, but I can tell you that everyone is super excited.
So what's the significance of this spacewalk?
Yes, well, there have been 221 spacewalks in support of Space Station Assembly. This will be the first one to be conducted entirely by women.
A huge milestone indeed. And who were these brave astronauts who headed into the unknown?
NASA astronauts Christina Koch and Jessica Meir. It was Meir's first spacewalk, and she has become the 15th woman in history to go on a spacewalk.
And what was the purpose of this spacewalk?
Yes, well, the astronauts ventured outside the space station into the coldness of space to replace a battery charge unit that failed to activate when the new batteries were installed. This unit is part of a system that collects the solar energy from the sun and regulates how much charge is put back into the batteries. It was quite the important task.
It definitely sounds like they were under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, well, there actually isn't any air pressure in outer space, but their spacesuits were pressurized so that their bodies wouldn't, explode.
Yes, of course. Why was this particular spacewalk so important?
It's a milestone definitely worth noting, especially as NASA looks forward to putting the first woman on the moon in 2024. Whoever that female astronaut ends up being will join Jessica Meir and Christina Koch, plus Valentina Tereshkova, who was the first woman in space, as being female pioneers of the space exploration industry.
Yes, well, I guess this particular milestone was bound to happen because of the increasing number of female astronauts.
Surely, of Koch and Meir's 2013 graduating class of astronaut candidates, 50% were women.
This is quite the inspiring story.
Yes, it's a small step for women and a giant leap for womankind.
Fantastic. Well, that's all from us at Scope Space News. We'll see you next time.
There I was, minding my own geeky business when she walked in. The hacker. The hacker is the one in the Girl Geek gang who is into all things tech. She's a coder, so she can hack into anything. So, Indy, you're a hacker?
Yes, that's right.
Could you explain what that is?
So a hacker basically means that it's a way of thinking more than anything. You use all of the tools that you've got and kind of hack them together in a way that gets you to the answer or gets you to the place you're trying to get to. So often that'll mean that you've got an idea about something you want to build, and it might be something physical. You might want to do 3D printing, you might want to build an app, you might want to do something. Now, a hacker often doesn't have a whole lot of money to do it, doesn't have a huge team, and so they think about what's the simplest way that I can test this idea here can try it out.
And you've hacked something here. What have you got?
Well, I've got a company called CodeBots, and what we do is we use software writing bots. Our bots are actually in the computer or in the cloud, and they write code for humans. So you get to tell the bots what you want them to do. You can drag and drop diagrams, and you can give them instructions, and they will write about 90% of the code for you if you want to build an app. Yeah.
So how does that bot figure out what you want?
Yeah, so what we've done is we've created lots of ways, like whether you want to type things of your directions that you want to give them, or whether you want to use diagrams and say, I want this to go here and you want this box to happen here. And then what happens in the background is the bot's working away. And so we have this moment called the fireworks moment. So you give all the instructions, you hit the build button, and boom, it creates this amazing file network. Yeah.
Wow, well, while we get hacking, you can check this out. We'll have a fireworks moment.
Hello everybody! Today we're getting hands-on with not one, but two experiments. And so I'm joined by my very good friend Damien from STEM Punks.
G'day, g'day.
Thank you so much for coming in. Let me show you what we're going to do today.
Righto.
For this demo, you're going to need a jar or a cup and some beads. I actually bought these from a science shop for this demo, but you can pick them up particularly at Christmas time for decorating. Now, here's the drill. These beads are currently high off the ground. And so they want to fall down. They've got potential energy they want to convert to kinetic energy, but they're trapped. Now watch what happens though if I give the beads a little bit of a help. I'm going to pull this edge off here. Watch this.
Righto. It kicked up, didn't it?
Right, so the beads were able to draw themselves over the edge. They sort of self-siphoned,
Yeah,
we talk
right.
about. Once a little bit went down, the inertia and the energy they took pulled the rest of them over. But there's a little bit more to this. You saw they came over the edge. So let's reset this,
Yep.
which is the boring part. I'll have another go.
Okay. There's something like a slinky.
It is a little bit like a slinky in terms of that energy
Yeah.
pulled down.
Yeah. So this is the only bit of fun part. How does it have to go in like wrap around, or do you
Yeah, that's
So there is a trick to putting it back in, correct?
There is. So you want to put it in, try and sort of loop it around the edges in a nice, smooth pattern so it doesn't get tangled.
So if it does get tangled, it's just going to come out in one big heap.
Right.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we've got it into the jar. So I'm going to get you this time to pull that over the edge.
Yep.
And we're going to watch, because this is a little bit of a shorter jar, and watch what it does on the very
Okay.
edge.
Just slowly.
Yeah, when you're ready. Okay, go.
Yeah, right. That does kick up.
Yeah. The beads actually come up over the top. They
Yeah.
don't just get pulled down, they actually
No.
go up.
Yeah. Why?
Great question. There's actually Steve Mould, a YouTuber citizen scientist, observed this effect and launched a whole lot of really complex physics.
Yep.
And it's really hard to explain why. So if you want to know more, you're going to need to go online. But this is a great experiment you could try for a science project. You
Sure.
could try different types of beads, different weights, different materials.
Would it be effective if it was much bigger beads
Great question.
or much smaller?
Yeah, so you need to have a little bit of mass to make
Yep.
it work, but like, if you find out these answers, tweet us. We'd love
Tweet
to
us
hear
in,
from you.
yeah.
Get it on social
Great.
media. Now, I want to show you one more thing before we go. This was a long chain of beads. What I've got here is a polymer. This is a liquid that is a long chain of molecules.
Right.
And it's a very special polymer that forms really long chains throughout the whole liquid. And so it is going to do a little bit like the beads did.
Right.
So watch this. I'm going to try and pour it in here, and you're going to watch. It's actually going to pour itself over the top after a point. Here we go. Watch this. Can you see it drawing itself up over the top of the glass? You can see it's kind of like pulling itself out.
So how did you make? What is this polymer?
So I bought this from a science shop, and it's an ethyl polymer that it was really well designed to form these really long chains. Look at this.
Oh, righto. It's like it's in between slime and water, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. So
Consistency.
yeah, exactly. So what it means is that these beads, not only is it an interesting bit of physics, but it also shows us about how other long chain molecules work. So this is a really good analogy, teaches us more science.
Sounds cool.
So if you want to see this demo again, head to our website for this and more great hands-on demos. And of course, Damien from STEM Punks will be back again soon. See you next time. Do you want to have a go?
Yes. Want to figure it out.
Just then, as if on cue from some sort of higher being, or literally on cue from an off-camera presenter, the hipster appeared. The hipster has a good eye for design and a perfect brain for creativity. They have so much to offer the Geek Gang. I'm excited to see what they're up to.
So hipsters specifically work more on the creative and the design side of things. So we like to illustrate a lot, we like to draw a lot, and we like to build things that people can look at and appreciate artistically.
Awesome. And how do you use your hipster skills combined with tech?
So I personally work in virtual reality, so I like to take my drawing skills and put them into a digital world or a digital space. So I use Tilt Brush to basically paint with oil paints or light or drawing with like paper mache in virtual reality, and I build little planets or islands and worlds and things like that.
Well, that sounds beyond what I can even imagine, but we're going to have a go at that, and you can check this out. Tech, media, food trucks, anything's possible in the world of startups. And on today's episode of Startup Showcase, we're finding out about an Australian startup that's really lighting things up.
My name is Andrea. I'm co-founder of Elkie Education.
I'm Steph, technical co-founder of Elkie Education.
So the aim for Elkie Education is to inspire 500,000 Aussie girls to try out STEM subjects in school by giving electronics a try first. So with one of our kits, our first one to come out to the general market is a light-up LED badge. So the children actually do all the soldering themselves to attach the flashing LED lights, the battery pack, and the switch to the back of it, and then they've got this fantastic little thing that they've created all by themselves.
To develop their product, Andrea and Steph use something known as the innovation cycle. The innovation cycle is commonly used by startups to address a challenge or need. The way it works is simple. Think of an idea, create a prototype, test that prototype out to see if it works, then figure out what needs to change so it could work better. And now you're back at the beginning of the cycle, and your new challenge is to improve the prototype.
It'd be cool to do some different designs with different lights and stuff, with different difficulties, I guess, in their simplicity and stuff.
This is important because if we want our next generation of young girls to have the freedom to choose some of the most challenging and rewarding careers, we need to set them up for success to do it. So we have a range of fantastic Australian women ambassadors as part of our Women in STEM series to help bring those role models to young girls. Then when you collect the whole set of 6 of these, you've completed the circuit and they all light up together at once.
Well, I never thought I'd be so lit. Keep your eyes open for other Australian startups like this one, and keep your ear out for the next venture on Startup Showcase.
Before we had electronic computers, computers were human, and most of them were women. They did the mathematics to analyse stars, calculate engineering problems, and eventually programmed the first mechanical computers. One of the great computer scientists was Grace Hopper. She had a PhD in mathematics, was a rear admiral in the US Navy, and helped develop one of the first programming languages. Now that is an incredible career. Caroline Herschel was an astronomer born in 1750 and was the first woman to receive a salary for doing science, something that was at the time rare even for men. Rosalind Franklin was a chemist whose work was critical in discovering the structure of DNA, the double helix. Unfortunately, she died before a Nobel Prize could be awarded, but she was a truly amazing scientist who deserves recognition. The world expert on chimpanzees is Jane Goodall. She revealed how chimpanzees use tools, eat and hunt for meat, and behave a bit like humans at times. She's also the only human to ever be accepted into a chimpanzee community. Wow!
Welcome back, Girl Geeks, Boy Geeks and non-binary geeks. Today we're hearing from Girl Geek Academy about why being a geek is something to celebrate. We've seen a hipster and a hacker, but there was one other type of geek.
Yep, okay, all right, no problem, I hear you. Yep, we'll get some code done up by the hacker, and then I think the pixels we can get sorted out with our hipster, and then, yeah, we should be right to have 100 by the end of the day. Is that all right? All right, cheers. Thanks, mate.
The Hustler.
That coral looks very familiar, and so does that rock. Hey, do you guys know where the big rock? Sorry, don't worry about that. Keep going. That's fine. Okay, I am officially lost. I have no idea where I am. Could really do with a map right now.
There might not be a map of all the world's coral reefs yet, but that's about to change. Marine biologist Emma is working on a project to map all the world's reefs, 14% of which are in Australia. So where do you start with such a massive job?
We're mapping all the world's reefs using satellites. So the satellites are taking photographs of all of the world's reefs every day, and we're using the photographs to make big maps. And what I'm doing is I'm jumping into the reefs at different parts to take a look to see what's in the photograph and match it up to what's actually on the reef, whether it's coral or algae or sand or rocks.
It's a big job that relies on a wide range of tech, including computers that can think for themselves.
And so we're using clever computers that we can train. We tell it what different parts of the image that we know is coral or algae, and then from that it learns to recognize the images, and then it can map the reefs by itself.
Coral reefs only comprise 1% of the world's surface, but they contain 25% of the world's marine species. So it goes without saying, they're super important. But what exactly is coral anyway? Is it a plant? An animal? A rock?
It's all three of them, really. So it's an animal because it's made from animals. The corals themselves are animals, but they also have tiny, tiny algae inside of them, so they can photosynthesize. So technically, they're plants at the same time as being animals. And they also build these stony skeletons, and the skeletons that they build are actually rock. So coral reefs are a mix of animals and rock and algae, seaweed.
But reefs aren't just important to marine life, they're extremely valuable to us. 500 million people worldwide rely on reefs for their food and for their jobs. And despite how important reefs are to us, we've only mapped around a quarter of the world's reefs in any amount of detail. With a deeper knowledge of the world's reefs, Emma and her mapping team can help us protect these incredibly precious resources and make life better for the marine life who depend on their prosperity.
I think I'm lost, but thankfully I have a map, and let's just pull this up. Yep, let's have a look. Yep, that's where I went wrong. Gotta turn left at that second bed of coral, not right. So silly. Thanks, Coral Reef Map. Where would I be without you? Probably even more lost. Oh, I gotta get out of here. There's a shark coming.
So Sarah, you've been the hustler all along. Look, I'm the glue that holds the girl gang together. And so we work with the hackers and the hipsters, and together with the hustlers, we all make a team.
And that's kind of how Girl Geek Academy happened in the first place.
Absolutely. 5 years ago, my friends and I all got together and we said, you know what, this is awesome. A group of friends who are girl geeks, let's make more things together. And so the thing that we made was Girl Geek Academy.
Wow. Maybe hustling's something I could get into. So Lisa, you're an astrophysicist but also an author. Could you tell me how those two worlds go together?
Well, I didn't think they did until recently, but you know what? Doing science and learning about the universe means that I also get to talk to a lot of young people, and they ask the most amazing questions, and I'm always thinking, wow, I'd love to write a book to sort of give all these answers out to everyone. So I ended up writing a kid's book, Under the Stars, Astrophysics for Bedtime, and it's just all about the amazing universe that we live in.
So why is bedtime a good time to learn about astrophysics?
Well, it's dark for a start. Let's hope you're going to bed in the dark. And I think after a long day and you get in bed tucked up and you start to relax and you start to think about things bigger than you, big concepts. And I think there's nothing bigger than the universe and the stars, and thinking about the 200 billion stars in our Milky Way galaxy. Black holes, what would happen if you fell into one? Maybe you wouldn't sleep very well. But anyway, you know, all those things are just incredible, and I think nighttime's a wonderful time to settle down and think about our place in the universe.
Great, yeah. So what are some of your other favourite astrophysics stories to tell?
Well, I love thinking about shooting stars, because most people think they're actually stars, because they're called shooting stars, right? But they're not actually. In fact, they're tiny bits of space dust. We're not talking about the dust that you hoover up in your house, but we're talking about the dust that lives in space. It's leftover stuff from when the solar system was formed, from all the gas and dust. Now, that stuff's floating around space. The Earth is moving through space as the Earth orbits the sun throughout the year. So when that space dust gets hit by the Earth, the dust falls into our atmosphere, gets really, really hot by the force of friction. Rub your hands together. What happens?
Gets hot?
Yeah, it gets hot because of friction. And that's what happens with the space dust. It whizzes through the atmosphere, rubs against the pieces, the little molecules of air made of nitrogen and oxygen and carbon dioxide, and gets really, really hot. And then it burns up at 1,000 degrees Celsius. And that is a shooting star.
So finally, I wanted to ask you whether you have any advice for someone at home who might not be sure whether STEM is for them.
Absolutely. Well, the answer is probably yes, if they're interested in it. And like a lot of people have a passion for STEM when they're younger. They might wonder about the stars, or they might love animals or plants. But STEM is so many different things. It's not just science, technology, engineering, and maths, but it means things like saving our planet. It means solving the problems of endangered species and climate change and health and medicine and saving lives. So it's so many things. And if you're interested in pretty much anything in the whole world or even the universe, I reckon STEM's for you.
It's everywhere.
It is.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Pleasure, Lee.
Awesome. Well, Girl Geeks, thank you so much for letting us hang out with you today. And remember, whether you're a hacker,
A hipster.
or a hustler, get your geek on! All right, everyone, back to work. We've got an order of 100 of whatever we're selling, and we're going to get it out to the universe. You're wonderful. You're inspiring. Good work. Good hustling, Lee. Thanks, mate. And remember, you can see all that again on our website, and you can find us on social media. It's bye for now, but we'll see you next time, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary under the scope. Are you all working?